And we can see it in the numbers as well. It says we are actually physically changing the behavior of our customers with this UI is why I'm so excited. And it's really about personalizing and bringing the right stuff to you at exactly the right moment where you want to watch it. But it's amazing what you find because that cluster algorithm is actually using AI to recommend content to you. And it's crazy how accurate it is. You're like, how do they know? But what we use is we use your play events, we use the metadata surrounded those items, and then we overlay that over cluster models to actually bring back recommendations for you.
The other thing is we view ourselves as an aggregator. So, we work with Disney, we work with Netflix to help expose them to customers in the market as well. And you can have one sort of billing entity through the DStv ecosystem, which enables you to unlock access to these other platforms.
Welcome to another edition of ITWeb TV. I'm Admire Moyo. Today we are joined by DStv Streaming Royalty, and we are joined today by Rochani Steenkamp from DStv Stream, as well as Daniel Courtenay, who is also an executive head at DStv Stream. I know most of our viewers would want to hear what's happening at DStv. Today, our particular focus is on DStv Stream. Welcome to ITWeb TV, guys.
Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Just to start with you, Dan, if you can maybe just explain to our viewers what is DStv Stream and how is it different from the traditional satellite-based pay TV that we have all come to know.
Sure. Thanks, Admire. So Stream is really just an amazing way to consume all of your favorite DStv content, but using an internet connection rather than a satellite dish and a box. We've essentially kept everything exactly the same. It's just the way that you are receiving content and the way that it's delivered to you. So one of the value propositions is you can sign up in under 5 minutes. So if you want to watch your favorite sporting event or your favorite episode of a particular show, you don't need to wait for an installation or anything of that nature, and you can get online and watch quite quickly. You can also sort of use it to download some of your favorite content to watch offline or when you're catching a flight to travel somewhere, etc. So really, it is the same. It is the same product from a content perspective, just a different way of consuming that content.
Awesome, and I know that you recently made some upgrades to DStv Stream. Maybe Rochani, if you can just go through what changes we made and the sort of upgrades that you made to DStv Stream.
Fantastic. We've got a lot of content on DStv, and content discovery is so important to us because if we don't get the content to you at the right time, you're not going to get the right things to watch. So we've done a lot of updates in trailers and how we display the content to our customers. And one of our employees actually explained it to the content is coming to you. So it's really getting pushed to you. A lot of personalization, a lot of things that focus on the customer specific. So you find more content to watch. It's really exciting for you to use because, I've discovered content on this platform that I didn't know was there because of the UI, and it's just actually making it easy for you to watch trailers and really consume that content and see and find the best thing for you to watch as a user.
Great stuff. I think when you guys were doing these upgrades, I noticed something. I used like a Samsung smart TV. Mm-hmm. So I think when you were doing the upgrades, there were some challenges. I could not access my DStv Stream from the smart TV. If you can explain to us how seamless was this process, and did you face any challenges, and how did you manage to overcome these challenges?
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So it's very complicated when we roll out such big changes to our customers. We have a lot of platforms and different users, and sometimes we have to submit to the store and everything. So we did do a staggered rollout from 1 August, starting with our web applications, then rolling out the different platforms. It was quite a seamless update, but obviously we're very specific about when we take those live because we don't want to impact, for example, customers watching the rugby, customers watching the football. So we were very exact about when we take it. It's quite a science to figure out when the right time is and when we don't need to impact our customers. But overall, it was quite a seamless experience for our customers to get these upgrades. And we're getting fantastic feedback just on how they're using it and what it's meaning for them as a customer.
There's some TVs that don't support, maybe, if I can put it that way?
We do have specific platforms we support and roll out, and it's clear, but across the board, it's the main. So we do Hisense, LG, Samsungs, all of those across the board. That, the big players, we definitely do, yeah.
Great stuff. Over to you, Dan. If you can maybe take us back to, I understand this product used to be known as DStv now. Now it's DStv Stream. If you can just take us through like the history, how the product has evolved over the years.
Sure. So we've actually been doing this streaming thing for roughly 10 years, believe it or not, in various different sort of forms and iterations. Originally, and a lot of people still remember the streaming product as DStv Now, which we launched, I think it was our first one back then. And that was sort of quite a popular means to consume our content with an internet connection. When we initially built DStv Stream or presented it to the market, it was actually as a companion to your decoder viewing experience. And that's sort of where DStv Now came from. So as that evolved over time, I think in 2021, we changed the name to align it more with our self-service app, and it became known as the DStv app, which we, again, was sort of more focused on the companion element of things. So every decoder customer was able to access a stream for free. And then what we did was we started to think about how we could commercialize the product. And over those 2 years, we obviously learned a lot. And in 2023, our CEO, Mark Jury, said to us, now's the time. Let's put some real effort behind sort of reinvigorating the current product. Let's reposition it. Let's do some enhancements to the UI, etc. And then let's take it to market. And during that process, we then shifted the name to what it is today, which is DStv Stream. So that's the evolution of the product.
And how is it grown? I know you are not allowed to share the specific numbers, but how has it grown over these years?
So the launch of DStv Stream happened in August of last year. We pushed to get that done. We wanted to have this product available for our customers for the Rugby World Cup, etc. I won't dig into the numbers, but what I will say is we're really enthusiastic about the trend that we're seeing in terms of where the product is going, and certainly from an enhancement perspective. Just to see the evolution, even from only a year ago to where we are today, is really exciting. So yeah, it's really only just the beginning. And even with these new UI enhancements, this is sort of phase one in a multiple phase rollout to, I guess, on our journey to world class. Yeah.
Awesome. Over to you, Rochani. DStv itself has been losing subscribers, and some market watchers are saying that streaming can actually save the company from, the declining subscribers. Do you feel under any pressure that you now need to grow your subscriber base amid the decline in the traditional pay TV space?
So, the two worlds work perfectly together, right? Like Daniel said, it wasn't a companion app before, and as a DTH customer, you can still use this application as is. But we are also growing this market, and as you alluded to, we are so excited about the growth. So my team is responsible for having you watch DStv on the internet, and there's a decoder team that is just as dedicated and just as focused. So the two work perfectly together. So it's not that the one has to eat the other one. It's, they're both very passionate about getting it over the line. So we just very focused on making sure that, like Daniel said, it is world class and the best for our customers and content discovery and personalization. And you're very, very obsessed about making it perfect, but that's not to do with the market or anything like that. That's just, the team being very dedicated and working on this baby that we've grown from small to just into this world class product that we're doing.
So basically the products complement each other.
They complement each other perfectly. If we look at, for example, we've got a big part of the base that is our Zapper base, and they don't have access to hard drives, so they don't have access to catch up or anything like that. But because they have a compact subscription, they can now use DStv Stream on their phone, and then they can do catch up, they can do profiles, they can do all of those functionality that you would have on a hardware enabled device on their phone. And that's the magic of it. The two work so perfectly. You don't have to have the one without the other. It works very, very well together.
I think it's worth mentioning that to a large number of customers, the decoder viewing experience is still probably the best experience, and they love it. They love the ability to take a control, to flick through channels, to push the icon on the control to get additional information, etc. I have friends that are just not interested in consuming primarily through the stream product, not because there's they just love their decoder environment. And I think for us, it's about meeting a customer where they are, and giving them the option to consume all of the great content that we've got, but by whichever means makes the most sense to them. And both have their sort of pros and cons in terms of viewing accessibility. And so it's really important for us to maintain both equally.
And we're in the world of entertainment, right? So it's about bringing the entertainment to you in the way you want it. So if my dad, for example, is very much still a decoder user, he loves his decoder, and he wants to sit down. He doesn't want to worry about connections. He is that traditional decoder watcher and will be for the rest of his life. Where my siblings, the idea of getting a dish and getting it to them is a foreign thing. They are traditional, so it's just about the different world. And we pride ourselves in bringing you entertainment at the right place in exactly the right way you want it as a customer, as easy as you want it as a customer.
Great stuff. Speaking of when the first days I started streaming DStv stream, I think my fiber line was 10 megabits per second. So sometimes when I'm watching like a live match, I think my neighbor had like a dish. Then sometimes you hear them cheering, and I will only see I'll start cheering maybe a few seconds later. So what's the internet speed that is not quite suitable to watch like live sporting games maybe?
So what you're referring to is latency. So that's the difference between actually getting it on your decoder versus getting it over the internet. So we receive it at the same time, but we still have to encode it and then get it to our streaming customers. We've done a very exciting project right now where we actually compared us to the industry standards and just looking at what the difference is in timings. And we've significantly dropped that time between actually watching it. And I'll be surprised if your neighbor cheers very fast than you, because we've done it, we really zoomed, and looking at our time, we're actually half the time of the industry standards now, because we've really zoomed in that, because we know customers are saying, my neighbors are cheering and I get it 30 seconds after them, and that's not good enough for us. We're about entertainment at the right time, at the right place. And this project we've done has significantly reduced the latency between the two. So there's a slight difference now between the two timings. So it's not really about internet speed. It's more about how quickly we can serve it to you in that process.
Great stuff. Maybe to you, Dan, just to look at some of the specific features that are now available on DStv Stream. I know you sent a press statement. I think one of the things that I still remember is viewers can now rewind maybe a live game. If you can just also take us through some of these, innovations that you have.
So I mean, this sits more firmly sort of in Rochani's wheelhouse, but I think we can answer that question together. So there are a number of enhancements that we focused on, and really our intention by addressing these enhancements was to look at what customers' challenges were, I guess, with the existing product, and then to almost address those challenges head on by making these enhancements. So, for example, watch from start. If you have a PVR decoder today, you can pause, rewind, record your favorite content. So if there's a game coming up on a Saturday afternoon, and unfortunately you can't be at home to watch it, that's a great feature, right? So what Rochani and team have introduced is something called Watch from Start. So similarly, in the streaming context, if you arrive home half an hour after the game starts, you can literally click the Watch from Start button and it'll take you back to the beginning of that live broadcast, which is really exciting. And that's on our journey to to extending that a little bit further, which we won't tell you much about now, but is a really exciting feature. I don't know if you want to talk about some of the enhancements from the sort of on-platform and in-row bits and pieces with row blindness and all that.
Yeah. So, I mean, what very interesting, before we had the same grids over and over and over. It was these posters over, and what we saw was the customers was getting lost in these rows because there was this monotony and this row blindness of content just scrolling through. And you often miss content because it just felt like the same thing over and over and over again. So what we've done is you'll see we've swapped out our rows. So we can do posters, we can do 60x9s, we can do trailers, we can do big ones. And it's amazing the science behind what your brain does when you see things differently. It draws your attention, but also these trailers that play in the back now. So because these trailers are playing, they immediately catch your attention and you don't feel like, oh, it's the same thing over and over and over. And based on that, we are seeing customer finding, I like the maths and I like the numbers. We are mathematically seeing customers finding more content and more, viewing more trailers and actually watching more, because we are now making it interesting to them to find this content by switching up the sizes and showing different posters and trailers and things like that. So it's very interesting. We love Watch from Start though. It's one of our favorites. And it just... hearing people saying, I got home late, I started the game, and it's so exciting to see what it's doing to our numbers as well, how much more customers watch, because now they've got the control to start that stream, and it's on all channels. So that's the exciting thing. It's not about the channel you are watching on stream. It will be on all the channels where you can restart that event, which is very exciting. And we are looking at extending that longer in one of our future releases for that.
And I think, what sort of separates the great streaming platforms is the way that they're able to personalize content recommendations to the user. And this UI enhancement delivers a marked improvement from a personalization, recommendation and content discovery perspective. Being able to find content, and I'm telling you this firsthand, I've been using the app for a long time. Once the new rollout, had sort of taken place, it's incredible the amount of content that you can find that is personally tailored to you based on your watching behavior. So that's a really exciting enhancement for us. And then a lot of other sort of cosmetic stuff and reordering and things like that. So, for example, previously you would have to sort of search a little bit to find a particular match day for the Premier League, for example. We now have tournament pages, where everything is sort of housed in one place. We've got team pages. So I don't know, Admire, who your favorite football team is.
Chelsea.
My man. That's the right answer.
That is not the right answer.
So if you're looking for sort of all of the games in the Chelsea season, you'd be able to find them in a more sort of ordered and easily accessible format. So it's that kind of stuff that we've just sort of continued to tweak to make the end user's experience that much better with this new UI deployment.
I'm so excited about the personalization stuff, because I think that is what customer tends to pigeonhole themselves as, that I only watch content from these 6 channels. I am an Mnet person, I'm a CakeNet person, I tend to not watch History Channel, but because of this new UI, I found documentaries that I found so interesting and I started watching it. And now because I watch that, the UI is recommending more of that to me. And I'm actually falling deep down this rabbit hole personally, because it's allowing me to find these contents that I never thought I would watch, because I pigeonhole myself and I don't want stuff from this content. But because it's exposing now all of this world to me, I really have spent this entire week watching documentaries that I never would have watched because the UI. And that's the amazing thing, when you see your family's behavior changing, when you see, and we can see it in the numbers as well, it says we are actually physically changing the behavior of our customers with this UI, is why I'm so excited. And it's really about personalizing and bringing the right stuff to you at exactly the right moment where you want to watch it, which is making me very excited about that. What are you?
Great stuff. So for this personalization, are you tapping in technologies like your artificial intelligence?
Yes. We're using cluster algorithms, we're using AI to identify. So we create a cluster model of our customers, and then other customers that have similar models to you, we then would recommend. So that's how our Just For You row works. You might like takes the last item you watched, and then based on other people that watch similar content, we would then recommend that which is very interesting. I mean, We've learned a lot about our colleagues just looking at that row, because you know, just seeing what they watch and what they view. But it's amazing what you find, because that cluster algorithm is actually using AI to recommend content to you. And it's crazy how accurate it is. You're like, how do they know? Like, but what we use is we use your play events, we use the metadata surrounded those items, and then we overlay that over cluster models to actually bring back recommendations for you, which is very, very interesting. And because the thing is, you get different customers. You know, if you try and do your homepage the same for everyone, it's never going to work. You have your Mzansi users, you've got your sports users, you've got your Catholic users. They're so different. So we have to personalize. And the fact is that it's personalized per person is even better. I mean, my husband's a complete sport and news nut. I like international content. That's a different world. And if you're trying to recommend the same stuff to us, you're never going to hit that 100%. But because we personalize more and more and more of that, the two of us can both find content to watch, but it's niche to what I like and niche to what he likes, and it just makes you fall down this rabbit hole a lot more, which is fantastic. Our customers are loving I mean, someone said to me, it's so great with this new UI that you added all this content. And I said, we didn't add more content. It's just making it easier for you to find and pulling you down in these different areas where you could find content to watch.
That's quite interesting. Also, when you announced these updates, you also announced a price reduction, if I can put it that way. I think the DStv stream is now 600, if I'm not...
$6.99 for 12 months on premium.
Okay. So what was the main reason for reducing the price? Is it to attract more users to the streaming platform?
Well, you know, we know that across the board, affordability is, you know, a challenge, and obviously we do what we can to sort of, again, meet our customers where they are. So we've built a pack construct that exists across our decoder business and our streaming business that runs from premium at the top end to compact in the sort of middle segment, and then access for 99 Rand in our mass segment. And I think you know, when we thought about this and we thought about how we could sort of give customers a better price point, but also encourage them to stay on the platform, because, you know, like any of the streaming services, we do observe a sort of churn and return behavior based on, you know, coming in and out for content that you love. And maybe there's a sports tournament. The Box, for example, have just played 4 months of consecutive rugby. You know, we want to make sure that you stick around and experience all of the great features and the functionality and the amazing content that we've got outside of maybe the core purpose that you've come onto the platform for. So by introducing a slightly more appealing price point, but for a contract term of 12 months, we feel like we've you know, we're on the path to sort of hitting that sweet spot for our customers a little bit more, and that's really the reason that we introduced the $6.99 price point.
Great stuff. Also, my other question is like the other international streaming service providers that are in South Africa, maybe I can think of Netflix, Disney Plus, Amazon, and so forth. How are these presenting competition to maybe a company like MultiChoice, and what are you doing to ensure that maybe you are ahead of them? And also from a pricing perspective, like the $6.99, I think some people would argue that it's a little bit too much compared to what the international players are charging.
Look, I mean, there is a lot of there are a lot more players in this sort of segment that we operate in now from a streaming perspective, and it's interesting. I was looking at when Netflix had come into the market a couple of days ago, and it was 2016. So I think if you sort of looked at what the market looked at pre-2016 and then post-2016, with the introduction of multiple other players, the landscape has shifted. You know, we are where we are, and obviously from a DStv perspective, we feel like we've got the greatest in local content. We feel like we still have incredible international studio content. We've got more live sport than any other broadcaster globally. And for those reasons, you know, when you talk about how do we play in that sort of in that area, we we have a lot to offer to our customer. The other thing is we view ourselves as an aggregator. So, we work with Disney, we work with Netflix to help expose them to customers in the market as well. And you can have one sort of billing entity through the DStv ecosystem, which enables you to unlock access to these other platforms. And so working with, these other players and services, I think is the right strategy. And that's sort of been our approach and our view around the whole thing.
And like I said before, we're about bringing you entertainment, right? So I think what's very hard for these international companies to come in is to understand the fact that, they built on models where you have to have a credit card and you have to have... So partnering with us means that customers can go to Pep and pay for their Netflix, or they can pay for their, their different views. And that's why it's such a great partnership. So we, again, bring entertainment to you. So if you want to watch Disney and you want to watch Netflix and you want to watch DStv all together, you can go pay for it in cash. You can go pay for it with a credit card. You can go pay for it in the ways that we know works for us. I mean, trying to work with these international markets and explain to them that you can't just always have a credit card. I think that's what we bring. We are African. We're an African company building African applications for African people. And I think that's where we strive, because we understand the market. Whereas international players, I mean, trying to explain adaptive bit rate to a European company, they don't understand. Why would you even need that? But I mean, in our world, we know your internet goes up and down. We know you have shoddy internet and time to time. And for them, it's very, very hard to even grasp that concept. So it's about a partnership rather than their competitors in this world.
Great stuff. Thanks, Rochani. Speaking of partnerships, I also understand as most of the majority of South Africans see the cost of data is too exorbitant. Something I think which also directly affects like a streaming platform like yourselves. What are you doing to ensure that, your customers get affordable data to keep on watching their favorite shows? Do you have maybe any partnerships with the local telecommunications companies?
On the product side, we allow you to download the content. So we always joke and say, go to the office on your boss's Wi-Fi, download all this content, and then your kids can watch at home without using...
My boss is not listening.
Yeah, sorry to my boss as well. But fantastic, because then you don't even have to use your data, which is great. But we also allow you to control your bitrate. So if you don't want it to go all the way up to the highest quality, you just want to listen to the audio, you can control that. We give our customers the control, because otherwise you don't want to sit there and be, okay, it's going to jump up and down and then it's going to use my data. You can control that bitrate. From a partnership, we do a lot of partnership, but maybe you can talk about that a bit.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing I'll say just in terms of internet is DStv actually has an internet product that not a lot of people know about either. And
DStv internet, right?
Yes.
DStv internet, absolutely. And across the group there are various initiatives to bundle our product suite with internet in order to bring our customers the most appealing sort of bundle options. And then obviously, again, across the group we have strategic partnership initiatives. We obviously know that those are incredibly important in terms of driving growth. And we've had multiple conversations with a lot of different people that tackle these sorts of things. Whether it's a data conversation or a conversation of another kind, either to help fast track our route to market, or to your point, to try and build more sort of appealing offers for our customer. We're having all of those conversations all of the time.
Okay, on to the next question. I see MultiChoice is making huge strides in the fight against piracy. I think it's only this week you guys sent out a statement saying there's a suspect who was arrested for allegedly pirating streaming content, operating something called Waka TV. If you can just explain to us, like, how is piracy actually affecting your business, and maybe also share with us, like, the measures that you are taking to take the war to piracy, and do you think you're actually winning this war, or is something that it's not possible?
So piracy is a challenge. I mean, we've all experienced piracy on some level or another, whether it's someone that you may know that has a sort of aggregated streaming service, or you walk into a shop or a restaurant and you sort of see a feed. We know that it's not a DStv feed, so you're aware of it everywhere you go, and it's a challenge that is a difficult one to combat. You've got to kind of go after it systematically. We have teams in place that are specifically geared at targeting, the pirate services, and again, they're specialists in that field, and they're set up specifically to address that challenge. We sort of have some ideas in terms of what the scale of the impact could be, but it's very difficult to tell. It's difficult to quantify it, and difficult to put it into numbers, frankly, because for every one you take down, you kind of almost feel like another one pops up. So it's difficult, and I think all broadcasters are experiencing the same challenges. But yeah, we're focused and be quite intentional about how we address the piracy challenge.
That was very interesting, the technology that team uses so we obviously encrypt our content to ensure that you can't get access to it. We also have watermarking, so if we do see a feed, we can immediately identify which package, which things like that. But it's interesting, it's always evolving, and I mean the security team on our side is constantly busy, so they do a measure, and then within 12-24 hours they're already finding customers that are going around it. So it's a constant battle about it. So if often customers doesn't think there's an impact. Oh, well, my friend is sharing this movie, or I'm going to go watch this game illegally. What does it matter? But MultiChoice employs hundreds of so many customers, different across the world. And then the thing is, we also invest so much in sport, and and the thing is, if you are watching that content and it's not, then you are actually taking away our opportunity for us to help employ those people, or it's to support the different sport taking place across the world.
Great. I also understand you are present in a lot of African countries, Nigeria, Zimbabwe, and so forth and so forth. I know you recently pulled out of Malawi, so it's not that one. So are you seeing any similar trends between like how maybe South Africans consume their streaming services compared maybe, for example, to how Nigerians consume the content?
So there is obviously your internet penetration is your biggest, and it's there's also cultural shifts and things like that. From a streaming point of view, South Africa is our biggest market, but if we look at then the second most, it would be Nigeria. So we are seeing a lot of usage, and we are seeing an upward trend in the Nigerian usage, but also in Kenya. So it's very interesting to see how as the internet gets better in those countries, and as the culture evolves to a streaming culture, how our movement as well, and it's a safe movement across the board. Obviously, the content watching is different. There's a very different trends of different things that they watch. But the way the uptake is happening is a consistent trend. As the internet gets better in those countries, you see the uptake in the different countries, and just it's amazing how the usage, especially in some of those countries, it's a mobile usage or there's a high sense usage. There's different trends for different platforms, but it's the same as the internet uptake takes up in those countries. We see the growth of stream in those countries.
Yeah, and also looking like at the African continent itself, a lot of companies, fiber network operators, they're building fiber networks.
It's definitely growing exponentially. It's fantastic to see how it's growing and how it's good to see as those infrastructures grow, we grow there as well. So it's, the two are very definitely correlated.
Great stuff. Dan indicated earlier that you guys are working on some new enhancement on the DStv streaming app. So since you are here, I thought maybe our readers would also want to hear firsthand from you, like what exactly are you guys working on? Because everyone is looking forward to, new things, just like you did.
We're working on some very exciting stuff. But what I can talk about is we are bringing cloud PVR in 2 ways. So basically, we are extending watch from start to be 24 hours. So currently, you can only restart the current event, but you'll be able to go back 24 hours.
Yes.
So if you missed the game yesterday, you can actually go back to the game, which is very exciting. I'm very excited to see what that means for us. But the other thing we are doing is the ability to record on stream. So you can actually record an event and then you'll keep it for 30 days in the cloud to watch it later. So if there's a game you want to go back and watch it, you can record it and then go back and watch it for 30 days.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay. Lastly, Dan, if you can just tell us the biggest things that you are noticing in South Africa's streaming market. I know the competition is quite stiff in this market. I think it's BritBox, the British-based streaming provider that recently closed down here in South Africa. So what are you witnessing in this whole market?
Okay. So, I mean, first and foremost, I think there is a move to a more sort of aggregator-based model, where I think a lot of you'll start to see the services start to come together and make their services more accessible to the market. And I think we have a sort of similar thinking around that because it makes sense. I also think you will start to see a correction in terms of where some of the services are sort of leveled out in terms of positioning and maybe price point. I think that streaming services have become a commodity, and especially some of the larger ones that have to support that by way of content production and maintaining that sort of cadence of originals coming out all of the time, it becomes challenging, right? And there's an entire business that underpins all of that, and we've seen the result of some of those things in what happened in Hollywood last year as well, right? So that exists in our playing field, but excited about what we see in the market. Huge opportunity. We feel like there is still a lot of room for the cost of data to come down, and as access to connectivity becomes more pervasive, we feel like we can come much closer to our customers and provide them the amazing content that frankly everybody deserves to experience all of the time. So
Cool. Thanks, Dan. Lastly to you, Rochani,
Okay.
maybe just to understand, how do you collaborate with Showmax, or you're competitors? How does it go between you and?
I always think of the Showmax relationship as a sibling relationship. So both of us, whether it is, we've got different customers and different needs that we fulfill, right? But it is about both of us, again, bringing the entertainment to you that you want to do. So if you are a very niche, local, edgy person, you are going to go to Showmax, and that's fantastic, right? If you are a sport lover that wants to watch great Afrikaans content, you're going to go to stream. It's not one or the other. We see a lot of customers also that use both. So you're not a Showmax or a DStv customer. In the end, for us, it's about bringing entertainment to you that you want to watch, and just keeping you happy and keeping you watching. And whether you're watching on the one or the other, it's it's a very collaborative thing between the two teams. It's not we just want to keep you watching, and we share a lot of info and we share a lot of data because it's important what we learn, and we spend a lot of time talking to customers and getting insights and understanding what they do. But it's the two teams to collaboratively as a team, because again, we want to give the best experience, watch the best content, and whether you're a Showmax girl or a DStv boy, it doesn't matter. As long as you're getting the right content that you want to watch, then you're happy.
Thanks, Rochani. Yes.
So, it's probably just important to add that if you have a premium subscription with DStv, for example, you get Showmax for free.
Yeah.
And you can add into your DStv bill. And as you go down the tiers, we give you a nice deep discount across all of access to Showmax as well. there is a lot of collaboration inside of the business, and in terms of how we share content and that kind of thing. We're really excited about what Showmax has just brought to market in terms of their repositioning, and that's obviously been rolled out across the entire continent. It's an incredibly exciting product. Their English Premier League product is, for the first time ever, now being brought to everyone on the continent via mobile device, as well as a couple of other options for entertainment. So, yeah, very exciting what's happening in the Showmax space at the moment as well.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of ITWeb TV when we were speaking to DStv Stream. For this and more videos, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel.